All right, we are live once again. What's up, everyone? It is JD Temple from the Light of the Darkness. Real quickly, to everyone that is new to the channel, welcome. And I really appreciate everyone that is here so far. All of you that have been waiting for this to start, I really appreciate all of your support. Please like the broadcast and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And please share this video as well on your Facebook or Instagram or whatever social media outlets that you subscribe to. Please share it. That would be freaking awesome. And I wanted to thank was it Devil of Dev 8 for your awesome super chat donation, and Bella Rose for your awesome super chat donation. That is so appreciated. And that just helps me to be able to put this content out there for you guys. The more available time that I have, that I don't have to be doing other things, I can be devoting to this. So thank you guys for your support. The monetary donations help tremendously. So I really do appreciate that. And any of you that feel inclined to donate, whether it's $1 or whatever it is, there is a little money icon near the chat bar right there, and you can certainly utilize the super chat. I'm going to try to take a look at here everything. Yeah, what's up, everybody? What's up, Johnny? What's up, Jafar, Nicolene, Tyancy, Tudor Renegade? And thank you to Orly Stewart. She's doing the moderating for us today, and I really appreciate that. Check her channel out, and please like and subscribe on that as well. And today we're going to be, getting into some things. It's all pertinent information for people that have already began their spiritual journey and that already work with magic and different things of that nature. But it's also great for people that have not really gotten too far into it yet. So this is kind of something that applies to everyone. And this is, today's topic is not meant to dissuade anyone from getting on their spiritual path or practicing magic actively in their lives, but I think it's still something that needs to be discussed and some things that people need to be aware of before they really dive headfirst into things. And I know I'm a big proponent of just doing it and just diving in, and that's just kind of, I guess, my Aries nature and being spontaneous and just kind of doing things. If it feels right, I'm just going to do it and not really think about it logically ahead of time. At least that used to be the way that I used to do everything. But yeah, let's get into that a little bit. So in regards to magic, I think you've got a few groups of people out there, at least a few groups that I'm aware of. You have that group of people that kind of, I guess I fall into this category where the spirits kind of seek you out and they tend to pull you into the current, kind of kicking and screaming in many cases. It's like in my case, it's not something that I really consciously set out to do. It wasn't something that I was really interested in. I really didn't even know what magic was. I didn't know about a lot of things. And I had this Judeo-Christian worldview of what I thought all of this stuff was, which was completely inaccurate. And, my worldview on that stuff was largely based on fear tactics and lies that are used by mainstream religion to dissuade people from discovering who they really are. But then you have the other group, at least one other group. There could even be more than that, but the ones that I'm aware of, you have some that are just looking for something and they really don't know what they're looking for, and they just stumble across magic and become interested in it, start reading about it, start watching videos, things like that. They start educating themselves, and little by little, they start to kind of dip their toes in the water, get their feet wet, and then from there kind of dive in head first. They don't really have that spiritual interaction, or they don't have that outside force that's really drawing them or really pulling them into it, not necessarily by choice. And I think that's interesting too, to think about, because for a lot of us, we had interactions with a lot of these spirits that we work with in magic prior to us initiating it. And then you have those that have never had that spiritual interaction with any spirit or entity, that get into this and they really want to have that experience, but they have a hard time doing it. So I think that's interesting in and of itself too, is that you have a group that really had no interest in it, but then they're having this spirit interaction that kind of pulls them into it. And then you have those that are interested in it, but they've never had a spiritual experience, and that's something that they really yearn for, but they have a hard time solidifying in their lives. So, be interesting to discern why that is. Why do some people have these spiritual experiences where others really have a hard time with that, and they'll really immerse themselves into the current. They'll really work hard at spirit evocation and invocation, and they really can't get anything to happen as far as what they can tell. They're looking for that real tangible spiritual experience, or that spirit to manifest in full form in front of them, full physical form in front of them, and that's not happening. And they can tend to get discouraged, and I can understand that. It's not like I've had every single spiritual experience that you can possibly have at this point by any means. I've had some pretty insane things happen without a doubt. But there's still a lot of things that I have not experienced that I want to experience. And there's still some things that I have not experienced that I'm a little terrified of, to be quite honest with you. But on the same hand, I've experienced a lot of terrifying things already. So I don't know if I can really take it to that next level, or if there really is another level to get to. I'm sure that there is. There's got to be. There always seems to be. Like it's just a never-ending cycle of crazy experiences and insanity, if you will. And so that's speaking of insanity and things from kind of a mental health standpoint and approach, I think that's really like one of the most important things to consider when you're getting into the left-hand path, especially as far as a spiritual path goes. And in regard to the left-hand path, most of that is going to involve some type of ritual magic of some sort. Is that your emotional stability, your mental stability and clarity, your reality system as a whole is going to be it's going to be turned upside down. It's going to be shaken up, turned upside down, and spilled out all over the floor, basically. And then you're going to have to kind of clean all that mess up and try to put things back where they go, only to find that a lot of those things don't fit in the place where they came from anymore. That you've got a whole new reality system to try to fit these puzzle pieces back into. And in many cases, you're going to have some pieces left over that just don't fit anywhere, or you're going to have some areas that need to be filled in by something that you don't have anything that fits there anymore. So what I'm trying to say is that life as you know it, and reality as you know it, is going to change quite a bit. It's not going to be the way that it is now. And I've talked about this quite a few times before, in that I fully realize that I do not live in the same reality as most people that I deal with in my day-to-day life. I remember what it was like to live in their reality. And while it's very safe, it's also a little boring and unsatisfying. And I'm not, whenever I say that, I always like to to kind of put a little something sweet and extra on that. And, you know, when I say that, is that, you know, the people that have been in my life forever, and events and things, and wonderful memories and all of that, you know, I'm not trying to take away from any of those amazing life experiences that I have had with a lot of wonderful people. It's not to say that those events and those memories and those moments weren't magical and they weren't important. They were, and they are, and they always will be. But I think that life is just so lackluster before you find your place, and before you get on your spiritual path, and really before you delve into magic, if that's something that you are to be doing. And I know that a lot of people get into the thing, well, you know, there's no such thing as fate, and there's no such thing as destiny. There's no such thing as you being meant for this or meant for that or meant for this person or meant to do this. That it's something that's all just by chance, or of course it's something that you're going to create through your magic, that you're going to manifest or bring into your reality. But it does seem like there are particular groups of people out there that are meant for this path, and that you're going to get pulled into it in this incarnation, whether you like it or not, because that's just part of the deal. And that's part of the learning, part of whatever agreements were made prior to this incarnation, something that you just have to go through, and a big part of this particular incarnation or life's purpose. But as far as your reality system goes, it can be very difficult to exist on this physical plane of existence with other people that do not share in your current reality system. I mean, they're going to look at you like you're freaking insane. Your worldview, your outlook on things, certain opinions you may have about certain matters, they're going to just be so ass backwards from everyone else's that they're not really going to know how to relate to you. And that can be very isolating. That can be a little lonely even. And then you're going to have people that are close to you that are going to say that you need to be on medication, that you need to go see a psychiatrist, that you need to see a therapist, that you're not looking at the world in the right way through the right lens, that you need to open your eyes, that you need to stop playing around with bull crap and fantasy, and you just need to go to work and get a job and watch cable TV and mow the lawn and wash the car and have, 2.5 children and a mortgage and all that stuff. And life is just hunky-dory and white picket fences and rainbows and stuff. And all that stuff is cool. If that's what you want, that's awesome. I mean, and those things are awesome. I mean, they are. But there's more to life than just those aspects of that cookie cutter mold that we're all supposed to fit into. Depending on where you live, of course, across the globe, maybe that's not the same in Europe as it is in the States, but I think it's pretty much the case everywhere for the most part. But I think when you get on your spiritual path, a lot of those things aren't quite as important anymore, because a lot of the things in your physical existence don't carry the same weight, or they're not as important as they once were. And I've said this before too, especially when you're first starting out on your spiritual path, it requires a lot of selfishness. You need to discover who you are, discover what all this means, or try to figure out what it means anyways. And I know that what magic and spirituality, the left-hand path, means to me now is something totally different than it meant to me 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even probably 3 years ago even. You know, it's kind of like anything else. It appears to be something else entirely. It's very exciting at first. I mean, it's still exciting for me, don't get me wrong. I still have a great passion for it. And hell, if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, talking to you guys. But there's just that mysticism and kind of that fantastical aspect to the occult, to anything metaphysical, to working with spirits and crystals and divination, angels, demons, deities, you know, anything in the spiritual realm. It's all so mysterious, and it's so freaking cool, and it's all kind of this really awesome novelty that just really kind of keeps it very, very exciting, especially in the beginning. And that's something that you want to try not to lose, that spark and that, you know, not to let it lose its luster over time to where you get bored of it. But you just need to kind of, I guess, find what works for you and what keeps you passionate and what is going to keep you on your path and what's going to kind of keep you working towards your goals, and using magic as a vehicle and to get there. But it's definitely, I know it's definitely different in the beginning than it is after you've been doing it for a while. But of course, it morphs and it changes into something over time to where that novelty is not as important, because it's really something that's not just a hobby or something fun that you do on the weekends. It's something that becomes a lifestyle, and it's something that you live every day, and you begin to kind of walk and talk and breathe and, you know, live and become your magic. You know, you'll discover that you don't have to do, you know, as much ritual, or any ritual for that matter. In many cases, you just kind of think about things and they happen, or you speak things into existence and they come to pass. When that starts to happen, that's when things really get interesting and they get exciting. But your reality also starts to kind of really get turned up on its head, because your mind is just blown. Your mind is so blown at things that you're able to create and manifest. It's so just insane how you'll have all of these examples and all of these things that will happen, that you make happen, that kind of keep all the fingers pointing back at you, that you are indeed the creator and that you are indeed creating your own reality, and that things are going to work out if that is what you will it to be. It will happen, and it will come to pass. You know, and that's something that can be a little scary for a lot of people too, and a little hard for them to handle, because that's a responsibility that none of us really and truly are used to. You know, we all still have that mindset. I think no matter what we do, because of our programming from such a young age, we all still have that, even if it's just a very, very small little minute amount of thought process in our mind that tells us that there is this one deity up there in the heavens somewhere that dictates everything, and that is responsible for everything that happens to you, good and bad. And that really we are just victims of circumstance down here on this rock, walking around trying to make the best of life every day. So when we do realize that we are creators, and we realize that we are manifesting our will, it can be a little bit to take in. It's a little much to process. And even though it is freaking the best thing ever, it is so freaking awesome, it's still scary as shit, you know? And how can something so awesome be so frightening and so scary, right? Well, I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, I'm sure if I won the lottery 10 minutes from now, it would be freaking awesome. But I would probably also get very, very scared for a minute and start thinking about all the stuff that goes with that, all the red tape and all the, you know, this leads to that, and one thing leads to another, and this person's going to do this, and this person's going to try to do that. And, you know, your mind can really go crazy and make something out of nothing, out of things like that. And they can do that with your spiritual path and with your magic too. You can really start to worry about things that you don't need to worry about. Because that's one thing that I really try to focus on is not worrying about things. You know, I mean, it's not that we don't need to take things seriously, but what good is worrying about something really going to do, unless it's going to get you to take some action and to do something that you need to do so you don't have to worry about it anymore. That's cool. But worrying about something just for the sake of worrying about it, you know, worrying about crossing the street because you think you're going to get hit by a car, and you're so scared to cross the street, and you think about it, and you think about it all the time. You think about it. It's on your mind. After you've worked with magic long enough and you see the effects that just your mere thoughts can have on your reality, what do you think is going to happen if you keep thinking like that so much? You keep worrying about it. You keep worrying about getting hit by that car. You're probably going to end up getting hit by that car one day, but it might not even be the way that you think that it would happen. It might not be an actual physical manifestation of you getting hit by a car when you cross the street. That could just be figuratively speaking. That car could be something else, and it can hit you in another way. But it all stems from the thoughts that occur in your mind first. And the things that I'm talking about now, I don't know if that would have scared me away from magic, or scared me, you know, kind of frightened me and kept me away from magic and things of that nature if I would have heard this stuff early on, you know, because when I first got into magic, I wasn't thinking about how I was going to have to change myself in order to do this and apply these principles and wield this power. It's something that I thought was just going to be like everything else in our modern day society, that it was going to be this immediate gratification thing, and that I was just going to be able to be like, whoa, and freaking, you know, like doing spells and freaking manifesting things right before my eyes. I really wasn't even thinking about working with spirits yet, because I didn't really know that was part of the deal. And I was terrified of spirit evocation at first. And I really thought that I would never get into that. But, you know, I think we all get so excited about magic in the beginning, and we're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And like, usually it's for like one purpose or another. Maybe there's just like one thing that you want. And you just, you know, begin to get interested in it, a little more interested as time goes on. But I think a lot of us miss the whole aspect of this is going to require a great deal of personal growth in order to truly be successful. Like, I really have to change my thought patterns and my paradigm as a whole in order to do this and be successful, because I think so little of myself, and my self-worth, and, you know, my outlook that I have regarding who I am is so negative. And you know, how could I ever do anything like this? You know, I'm not capable of manifesting anything. I'm not a creator. I'm a dumbass. You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of work and a lot of change that needs to take place in your mind before you can even begin to apply these principles of magic in your everyday life. I'm not to say that you can't start doing them, but the most important thing is your own self-growth and transformation, first and foremost, above anything else. You know, and like that kind of, for me, as far as magic goes, I didn't really realize this in the beginning as much as I realize it now, but it's still not something that I do enough as I should. You know, a lot of people say that they meditate every day, and maybe they do. And if they do, good for them. And that's freaking awesome. And that's something that we should all be doing, or at least doing it frequently. But I think especially when you're just starting out, meditation is very important. And, you know, why is meditation important? Meditation is important because when you are working with magic, your spirituality, when you want to commune with spirits, when you want to perform evocation or invocation, or even if you want to do, you know, cast a simple spell, it's all about being able to quiet your mind and go within, grab a hold of that energy that's inside of you, that inner black flame, that prana energy that's in you, and being able to project that outward. And if you're not used to meditation, if you haven't applied those principles, if you haven't practiced it, there's so much chatter in your mind all the time. And it's so hard to be able to close your eyes and get those thoughts that will always want to keep intruding, you know, consciously and subconsciously. It's really hard to quiet that and to be still and to be able just to empty yourself out and to tap into the current, whatever that is, or tap into that particular energetic resonance of that spirit that you're calling forth. You know, so meditation, especially early on, is vital. I don't do it as much anymore. I'm able to kind of get into the theta gamma sync, which is a state of mind where you're able to kind of drop mind and to go into a trance state, basically. And to be able to go into a trance state, you've got to be able to be pretty successful with meditation and be familiar with it. I mean, it would be hard for me to sit here for 2 minutes and be able to quiet my mind, you know, in the beginning. And it might even take me like 20 minutes of sitting here to be able to do that, you know, before it's something that I got accustomed to. You know, it's just like riding a bike. It's just like working out. You know, it's a muscle basically that you develop. So now, after I've been doing it for so long, I can sit here, I can close my eyes now, and I'm there. I can just drop right into it. And I can even talk while I'm in it. And I can think about what I'm saying, but there's really nothing else in my mind right now. It's just pretty empty. It's pretty empty in there. So, you know, that's something that I think all of us really need to be mindful of, especially if you're starting out. People talk about meditation and how important it is. It is very important. Is it something I need to do more of? Is it going to help me? Yeah, it's going to help me a lot, and I need to do it more often. I think a lot of us, you know, more seasoned practitioners probably like slack off on that a little bit because you're already working with a lot of those meditation principles in evocation and spellcasting and other things that you really don't feel like you need to. And I guess I'm kind of part of that group, but I do know that I do still need to do that. I mean, you always need to revisit basic principles of anything, of any system. It doesn't matter what you're doing in life. You know, always go back to the basics. Always go back to the foundational aspects of whatever it is that you're doing, so that you don't forget a lot of the most important pieces of the puzzle. Because usually if you omit one of the pieces, then it's not going to work properly. It's not going to function like it should. Everything kind of needs to be there and be in place, and it all kind of does its part so that the vehicle will roll down the road like you want it to. But yeah, how do you go through your day-to-day life being in this magical current, surrounded by a bunch of people in your life that don't know what magic is, that think you're just a devil worshiper, that look at you like you're totally insane and maybe talk to you like you're stupid, are always telling you to look at yourself, look at your life, look at you, just look at you. What the fuck are you doing? You know, what are you doing with yourself? You know, like you're not doing anything worthwhile, and like everything that they're doing is the greatest thing ever. Like, you should want to watch Real Housewives of freaking New Jersey every night with me. You know, what's wrong? You want to read books and like meditate and like do yoga standing on your head and stuff, like whatever. That's freaking nuts, man. Like, we've got premium cable, 400 channels we can be watching. What does the matter with you? So I'm sure a lot of you hear that kind of crap. I've heard that for years and years, and it's just crazy how so many people would rather just totally check out and not think and just kind of melt their brains every evening instead of working on themselves and making themselves better and stronger and more connected to the people around them and more connected to themselves and just self-discovery, you know, more connected to the spiritual realms and being able to kind of really put life into perspective and figure out what it's all about. You know, I mean, for me, that's exciting. Watching a lot of these shows and different things, not so much. And I'm not saying not to do that at all. I'm just saying that I think once we get bitten by that spirituality bug, once we get bitten by that bug of magic, it's really hard to get it out of your mind. And it's hard not to want to push it as far as you can push it and to learn as much as you can and to really, truly grow. And that's the thing. That's the thing with this too. I'm glad that I just said that because it's something I wanted to touch on. All of this stuff that I'm talking about here, there's really no place in it for a lazy person or laziness at all. This is something that if you want it, it's going to take work. It's going to take a lot of work. It's not going to be something where you're just going to sit back and participate when you want to, put it down for 3 months and expect to come back to it to do like some kind of major this or that. You know, it doesn't really work that way. I mean, not much works that way. Anything that's worth anything anyhow. You know, this is something that is going to require a lot of your time and attention. If you want, you know, just like anything in life, you know, whatever you want to be successful in your life, you have to give it your time. You have to give it your attention. You know, it's, you know, where your attention goes, energy flows. The same kind of principle. So this is something that you have to be hungry for. You have to stay hungry for it. There can be certain times of, I don't want to say complacency. That's not the right term for what I'm trying to convey here. But there can be times where you can take some time off. You know, and I like to look at these as just grounding phases, and they're necessary. It's very, very easy to get spiritually burned out, to get overwhelmed, for your reality to get so mixed up and twisted that you just need to step back and take a break, and that's fine. That is totally fine. You know, especially after you've done some, you know, big ritual. I mean, it could be a small ritual. It doesn't matter the magnitude of it, but, you know, always kind of try to plug back into normal reality, do some grounding after that. And that can be whatever you want to do. If that's when you want to watch TV, cool. If that's when you want to read some books, non-occult related, cool. If you need to do that for 2 weeks, if you need to do it for a month every 3 or 4 months, a month is a little long. If you've been doing it for a long time, if you've been into magic for, more than 3 or 4 or 5 years, you can probably go a month. If you're newer, if you've been doing it a year or two, you might not want to do a whole month. It might be hard to plug yourself back in, but a week can be necessary sometimes. Just be a normal person for a week. It's one of those things where it's like when you're working out, you can work out lifting weights 3 to 5 times a week for 2 months. And if you take a week off, maybe even 2 weeks off, and let yourself fully heal and recover, when you go back into the gym, you're actually going to make bigger gains quicker, because you've kind of allowed everything to reset. You allowed your body to heal fully, and you can go back in there and start tearing it down again so that it will heal. So you become stronger. You can do the same thing with magic in your spiritual life, is to, take 2 steps back in order to take 5 steps forward. But I think the main thing in all of it is to not let yourself go crazy. Don't push yourself and take your reality system to the edge of the cliff to where you're not going to be able to come back, to where you kind of go past that point of no return, because it can definitely happen. I have stuff happen every single day almost that is so insanely fantastical and magical and just beyond the realm of any coincidence. I mean, if I had this many freaking coincidences happen in my life every single day, there's just no way. There's just no freaking way. Like, I think that if I looked at these things as all coincidence, that I actually would literally go crazy, because it's just that insane. But knowing how I live my life, knowing the life that I live, I see these things for what they are. But there still can be a such thing as too much of a good thing. And so there are times where I will need to step back from it for a week and just try to be a normal person. Try to be a good boy. Try to be a good little boy for a week if I can, and not be a demon devil dog for a few days, because that's how I roll. It's how we do. But yeah. So I always recommend to learn as much as you can, of course, especially when you're first starting out. Now, I will admit, I'm one of these weird people, man, that I am not the most learned sorcerer out there by any means. However, I have been very successful, in my own opinion anyways. I've been able to do some really, really awesome things, and some things that I never thought that I'd be able to do, without really learning a lot of the foundational principles and aspects of every system out there. I mean, hell, I've really, as far as book smarts go regarding magic, and as far as like academia goes involving magic, I mean, I'm a slacker, man. I don't know if it's because maybe I'm like a natural hereditary witch to some degree. I feel like I probably am, but maybe everybody that's in magic feels that way. I don't know. Maybe it's because the spirits came to me and I didn't come to them, and I didn't come to this spiritual path. They came to me. But I was able to kind of sidestep a lot of that stuff. And I mean, I'm going back and I'm catching up on things that I should have already read up on and I should have already learned. But I'm just kind of finding that, kind of taking that more eclectic route and combining systems, finding what works for you, really just kind of feeling things and going approaching it from like an intuitive standpoint, for me, that's worked very, very well. You know, for a lot of people that may not work so much, and you may have to read more, and you may have to learn more principles of different things so that you can start to kind of put the pieces together and kind of feel, you know, that mind, body, soul connection that kind of goes with all of this. You know, that may have been more inherent within me, and maybe it's not as inherent in other people. I don't know, but I'm not trying to say don't read and don't educate yourself and all of that. By all means, you know, knock yourself out, read as much as you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with learning new things, and there's nothing wrong at all with subject matter that is relevant to whatever it is that you're trying to do. I'm just saying, in my own case, I just wasn't one of those people. So I say that just because I don't want people to feel like they can't be successful and they can't do certain things if they have not learned X, Y, and Z first. You know, like, well, I'm not going to do this yet because I haven't learned X, Y, and Z, or I haven't mastered X, Y, and Z, and this and that. And while it's good to be safe, and it's good to have, you know, like a healthy respect for all of this, and for especially, you know, for spirits and that kind of stuff, at the same time, you don't want to put too much emphasis and weight on the mindset that you're not ready to do certain things, or that you need to accomplish this and this and this before you do that. Because I think if you do those, you know, if you take that approach, you may never get there. You may get sidetracked. You may get bored. You know, your approach in trying to do the right thing can actually bite you in the butt. You know, so we all have to kind of figure out what's right for us and what the right way to go is. And I think the most important thing and the bottom line is to use your intuition. You know, how do you really feel about it inside? If you really feel like you need to do X, Y, and Z first before you go to the next step, then do that. If you feel like you don't need X, Y, and Z in order to do that next thing, then just go for it. But I think it's, you know, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with being a creator of your own reality. And you have to fully realize that you are responsible for all of your victories and all of your defeats. And you need to appreciate both of those aspects of your life. You'll learn from both of those different things. You know, having the proper perspective, you know, always consciously, you know, I guess asserting yourself to always take a look at every situation in your life from a different angle, from a different perspective, trying to find out what it truly is and not just taking it at face value and running with that. You know, I guess practicing mindfulness, living in the moment. And that's, you know, meditation really helps with your ability to be able to live in the moment and to not have your mind so full of clutter and so full of that deluge of bull crap that's always coming in, to where you can really never be in a moment. You know, you couldn't be in the moment if you had to freaking save your life. You couldn't be, because you got so much crap coming in because you don't meditate and you haven't practiced that. So your mind is just so full of noise and chatter that you can never be in the moment. You know, that ability to be in the moment and then to actually be swept away by it and taken into that spiritual realm, or that astral plane, the mental plane, where you're going to be able to perform alchemical processes and transmutate and really be able to perform intense rituals and to be able to interact with spirits and all of that stuff. I mean, that's like a whole nother part of our reality that a lot of people just like aren't really prepared for. But it's one of those things too that, I mean, you can prepare for it only so much, in that you can prepare for what it's going to take to get yourself there mentally and emotionally, but it's still going to be a shock to your system when you first start delving into it, because it's something that you really can't prepare yourself for, to experience a lot of these things. It's just something you're going to have to take it step by step and figure it out through doing it, figuring it out in the moment, and not being scared to death, and being willing to push through, and to not give up, and to not get scared and say, screw all this, and throw everything away and try to plug back into your normal life. You know, I think there's definitely a line that you cross at some point, you know, and for most of us, it's probably going to be within the first few years of your spiritual path and your magical practice, where once you cross that line, you really can't go back. So that's something to keep in mind too. You know, I've talked about my opiate addiction that I had before in other podcasts. And, you know, when you first start messing with stuff like that, you always think like, yeah, other people get sick from this. I'm not going to get sick. That's not going to happen. That would never happen. You know, that's crazy. I wouldn't be doing this if I thought I was really going to get sick and be a drug addict and all that. You know, it's very similar with this. You know, it's just very similar to that. You know, you think that, oh, you know, I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not going to get swept away. I'm going to be able to handle this. I'm going to be able to be responsible enough, and I'm going to respect this enough, and I'm going to put enough time and attention into it to make it work for me. But if I want to step back across that line at any time and just go back to my normal life, I can do that. You know, this is one of those things where, you know, you'll get hooked. And when I mean you'll get hooked, I mean it's going to grab you. It's going to grab a hold of you, and it's going to take you for a ride. And you have to learn how to navigate that and how to drive that vehicle that has just taken off with you. And you're not really going to be able to turn it back around and go back to that line, hop out of the car and cross it and just be like, yeah, that was a cool little experience, or that was a cool little experiment. You know, once you get to a certain point, that no man's land, there's really, I think there's just kind of like a wall that gets erected there where you're not going to go back. I mean, this is your new reality system. You're in this current now, and you're going to have to roll with it. You know, you're going to have to sink or swim now. And the last thing I want to get into on this today is working with spirits, and what does that look like, and what does that involve, and what does that entail in your everyday life? Because that's a whole new can of worms right there. You know, like I was telling you earlier in this broadcast, how, you know, I was scared to death of spirit evocation. I mean, that was like, holy crap. I mean, I really thought every single time that I was going to have like a literal demon standing in front of me that could just like literally tear my head off if it wanted to right then and there every single time, and that it was going to be horrifying. Now, while I have had some very scary experiences, and I've had some very, very real experiences, and, you know, not to say that any of this isn't real, it's all extremely real, but it's typically going to go down. It's going to happen in a different way than you expect. Sometimes it's going to be extremely intense. Sometimes you're going to question whether you even made contact at all. Now, what is it like working with most of these demons? Now, my good friend David Romano, he's got a channel, Black Magick Exposed. Now, he's warned a lot of people about working with Belial, for instance. And before I ever worked with him, before I ever worked with Belial, I was scared to death of him. And I would not even consider ever working with him for years and years. It was just never going to happen. But he finally revealed himself to me, and he was not at all who I thought he was, or he did not have the nature and bedside manner that I really had convinced myself that he would have. You know, I was thinking that he was going to be this, you know, nasty, horrible, lying asshole, basically. But he was a total opposite. I say that, though, because while he has done amazing freaking things for me, he's done amazing things for me. And I couldn't be happier. I want to mention that there was a lot of very difficult moments, and it was very scary. And it, you know, I've got things that I'm dealing with and things that are manifesting as a result of working with him that are necessary, and they're really awesome, but they're really freaking tough, man. I mean, having this spirit in my life is hard. It's not a fucking cakewalk at all. And I'm not saying that he's evil and he's trying to hurt me. He's not. Now, if I was not prepared, and if I was not strong enough, and if I did not look at everything from the proper perspective, then I could totally see what people are talking about and how he could be looked upon as not a very positive influence to have in your life, because it's difficult. You have to deal with it every single day, but it's all part of sculpting you, molding you, preparing you for the manifestations that are going to occur. It's all part of your personal transformation, and it's all part of like transforming your life to make room for these new awesome things that are going to come into play. And a lot of that stuff's painful, and a lot of people are not willing to go through that, and they miss the whole aspect of that self-development, and that working with most of these spirits, demons especially, it's all going to require a certain level of self-development. And that's almost kind of like the sacrifice that's involved in them showering you with these glorious riches and these awesome manifestations and these life changes that you want so badly. You know, everybody's always like, oh, there's a price to pay for everything. You know, you're going to have to pay a price. You're going to have to pay a price. Yeah, you are. You're going to have to pay a price. And it's going to be painful, but it's not what you think it is. The weak people, the misinformed people, the lazy people, the people that want immediate gratification, that don't want to have to work for anything, from their point of view, yeah, these demons are evil, and there's going to be sacrifice, and there's going to be a price to pay, and they're looking at it from this negative perspective of, oh crap, I'm going to have to get my hands dirty, and I'm going to have to go through some difficulty to get this good stuff. Like, what the fuck? Like, why do I have to do that? You know, like, what is that all about? Well, yeah, you're going to have to pay a price. There's going to be a sacrifice. You're going to have to deal with some difficulty. You are going to need to transform. You are going to need to become a better version of yourself in order to handle these awesome manifestations that you're going to have in your life, in order to deserve these awesome manifestations that you're going to have in your life. You know, I mean, like, that's really the exchange, you know, that there's a universal law of exchange that applies to everything. And we're going to get out of whatever it is. Whatever we put in it is what we're going to get out. And, you know, you always have to be willing to put some skin in the game. You know, the more you put in, the more you give of yourself, the more difficulty, the more struggle, the sweeter that reward is going to be. The more impact it's going to have on your life. So while we can certainly manifest some amazing things without the use of, you know, working with some of these spirits through evocation and different rituals, I think that really the biggest gifts in magic, the big top high reward type of situations are going to come from spirit evocation, working with spirits. But yeah, there's going to be some exchange for that. You're going to have to give up some things. You might have to give up some temporary conveniences and comforts and luxuries for a little while in order to learn how to appreciate them and to find out and learn more about yourself. Maybe you got to work a little harder, but to come to find out that everything that you had given up, you now have to an even greater degree than you ever thought you could to begin with. But yeah, it cost you some things. You know, you had to go through some pain and difficulty. But if you can have the right perspective and you can really see with your third eye what exactly is happening and what's going on, you can better appreciate the struggle and better appreciate the process and better appreciate what that spirit has been trying to convey to you and why they have used the methods they have used in order to get you to where you need to go. You know, I mean, they're the best, you know, tough love mentors, Mr. Miyagi's that you could ever have. And, you know, I mean, I guess not every spirit is that way. I mean, I've definitely had some spirits, you know, working with the Goetia where they did deliver something really freaking awesome to me. And all I had to do was give them this little offering of some things that were rather insignificant to me in my life. And this was something that was a very quick working. It was something that took place in about a week's time, and it didn't involve this intimate interaction of this long-term path working of like 3 or 4 months in order to really get to the good stuff. This was a very quick little boom, boom, you know, bada bing, bada boom, kind of like that. And that was really awesome. But for the most part, I find with most spirits, it's going to be this intimate 60 to 90 day experience where you're going to be injected into their current and you're going to kind of have to go along for the ride, and you're going to have to navigate through a lot of terrifying things and navigate yourself through the darkness, kind of searching for that light at the end of the tunnel. But those experiences are certainly the most rewarding. And those are the kind of experiences that I think that everybody needs, you know, that's the expectation that everyone needs to have. That expectation and that healthy respect for what it is you're going to have to endure if you do, in fact, want to embark on the left-hand path. The left-hand path is a path of great difficulty, but it is very rewarding, and you're going to have a lot of personal self-growth that is going to take place through all these trials and tribulations and through all this difficulty. But the thing of it is, if you're not willing to go through that, if you're not willing to go through some pain, if you're not willing to let some things go in your life that aren't good for you anyway, then you're not ready for this, or you're not ready for it yet. And that's just something that you need to consider. Because I think that if you don't know that going in, you're going to be in for a rude awakening. And you're going to struggle, and you might actually go crazy. And I don't want to see anybody go crazy. I've been there on the edge of insanity in a negative way more times than I can count in the past 3 or 4 years. But it's all made me stronger. There's no doubt about it. And just, you know, thank Lucifer that I was able to handle it, and that I was able to see things for what they were, and I was able to get through it, and that I didn't let it consume me. But it very easily could have many, many times. So I wanted to get to the chat. What's up, Nicole? What's up, Soil Denute and Nicolene, Aiden? Trying to say hi to everybody. Trying trying to scroll up on the chat here. It's like so awesome to see everybody here, like for real. And Bella and Maria, what's up, Maria? Yeah, I don't know about that, Maria, if it's possible for a non-natural witch to learn or become one. I mean, I really don't know. I wish I had an answer for that. Maybe some people in the chat can answer that better than me, but you know, I don't know, because I don't really know if I am myself a natural witch or not. I kind of feel like I am, only because of the experiences that I've had, and how I feel like the spirits have kind of like sought me out, and how they had come to me, and it wasn't really something that I was seeking them out. I would think that the answer to your question would be yes, because I mean, however that works, I mean, whether a natural witch has a bloodline that can be traced back to Cain or the Watchers or whatever that might be, if that's what makes you a natural witch, maybe that's the case. Or maybe just, you know, 1,000 years ago in your particular hereditary line, someone just took it upon themselves to learn these things and to become an adept practitioner. And at that point, all of their offspring were somewhat of what would be known as a natural witch or something. So maybe it is, you know, I don't know. I don't really understand or really know how all of that works exactly. But I think really it just takes a lot of getting out of your own way. You know, we can make things so much more difficult than they need to be, and overthink things, and not just get to that point in that mode where you're just able to breathe and just feel energy, to feel other people, to feel nature, to be able to like walk out to the park and be alongside a stream and like feel the intense energy coming off of that water, to feel that electrical charge in the air that's just like all around us all the time. I think like really getting in tune with nature is something that can really help to spark, to bring out those natural abilities that are within you. But I think it's also going to help to instill within you a lot of those qualities and attributes that you need in order to apply these things. So I think that, you know, just really kind of getting out in nature and connecting with that, connecting with the forces and the elements that are all around us, and to really try to feel them and kind of put everything into that proper perspective of what's what, and what your own personal energy feels like opposed to the energy that water's putting off, or what your own energy feels like opposed to this friend of yours and that friend of yours, or what your own personal energy feels like opposed to different spirits. Excuse me. I think all of that stuff, you know, really can help us a lot in our daily practice. Just kind of, again, you know, being mindful of things, and being able to kind of discern what's what. That can really help a whole lot. I'm scrolling back down here on the chat, but anyways, yeah, I wanted to really thank everybody for being here once again. I always have a freaking great time. We've been going for about an hour now, and that's kind of what my goal was, to try to shoot for about an hour or so. You know, again, for those of you that are new to this channel, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe and to share. And all of you that have been here forever, I love all of you guys, of course, and thank you so much. And you know, please share this too. Definitely trying to work hard on growing this channel, and you know, make our little From the Light of the Darkness family here even larger. If there's anything I can do to help any of you all out there, I do offer ritual for hire services, of course. This is what I do for a living, and I'm not trying to like turn my podcast into an infomercial by any means, but this is what I do. This is what I love to do. You can check out my website is jdtemple.info. You can also find me at Become a Living God, which is becomealivinggod.com, or From the Ashes Publishing, and that is fromtheashespublishing.com. I've got services listed there. I'm going to have a Patreon out soon that's going to have some really, really cool exclusive content. There's going to be some Oracle card readings that will be a monthly thing for subscribers or, you know, patrons of my Patreon. I'm hoping to have that out another week or two, something like that. And then we also have, there's something I'm doing with Orly Stewart that we have a really, really kick-ass divination. It's an occult divination website. We've got two incredible mediums, two of the best mediums that I've ever worked with, and one really, really, really awesome tarot reader. But just he kind of takes a little bit of a different approach than a lot of other readers do. But there's going to be a few tarot readers on there, but Dennis in particular, he's got a very unique approach. And then Orly and I will be doing consultations and things at that site. But the site's going to be primarily geared towards mediumship and divination. So it's going to be something different than what a lot of the other things that you see out there. I think it's going to be really, really awesome, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And that's the name of that website is going to be Beyond the Veil. I think it's beyondtheveil.org. I can't remember. .com was taken, so we couldn't get that, but I had to check and see. The website's still under construction, and I'm hoping that we're going to launch it in the next, I'd say 60 days at the most. Hopefully it's going to be more like 30 or 40, but in the next 60 days. But again, I really appreciate you all being here. If anybody wants to book a consultation with me, if anybody wants to book an energy work session with me, any kind of rituals that you could want to do, I would be certainly glad to help you with that. And again, I mentioned you can find me on my website. My email will be in the description. All the links to the websites will be there too. Oh, Brandon, thank you so much, Brandon. You are the freaking man. Damn it. Like, seriously. And to all of you that donated to me through the super chat on this live stream, I cannot thank you enough. That means so much to me. That freaking support helps me to be able to do this. And, you know, to Bella Rose and to, I think it was Demon Day, Devil Dev 88. Let me see. I don't want to like mispronounce your freaking name. That is so freaking rude. And that was so awesome of you to donate to that. Yeah. Duke of the Devil 8. Thank you so much. And Brandon Carpenter, you were the man. I love you so much. Thank you. It means the world to me. But before I get out of here, guys, check out Orly Stewart's channel. Find her on YouTube. Her website, motherofabominations.com. She does occult consultations, ritual for hire, and the most amazing, fabulous, insane, magical artwork that are literal portals and gateways to these spirits that you've ever seen. You can find her magical artwork at motherofabominations.com. You can also find her at fromtheashespublishing.com. So check both of those out. And I wanted to give a really, really quick shout out to my boy Black Mass. He owns a freaking amazing tattoo studio in California. It's called Black Raven Tattoo, and it's in Torrance, California. This is, I'm going to try to show you one of his stickers here, but he actually gave me an awesome gift here recently, a piece of magical artwork I wanted to show you. This is his tattoo studio here, Black Raven Tattoo, Torrance, California. I know it's backwards right now, but he sent me this amazing piece of artwork that he did himself. I think I got it this week, and it's called The Ghost of Fukushima. So it's like a spirit I guess from Japan following that nuclear disaster. But it's really intense. The energy from it is just insane. And I can't wait to fully connect with this piece of magical artwork, but I wanted to show it to you. I think you can find him on Facebook under, I think he's got a Black Mass page, I believe. I'll find out and put him in the description too. If you're ever in the California area and you want to get a freaking kick-ass tattoo, obviously from the artwork that you'll see here, he's really amazing. But this is what he sent me here recently. Isn't that just freaking beautiful and incredible? It's freaking awesome, isn't it? I'm really, really digging it. And I appreciate it so much. Like, thank you, Black Mass, so very much. He is Orly Stewart's secret dad. And I'm sure she's going to talk more about the whole secret dad thing in one of her live streams coming up soon. I really dig the whole secret dad thing, and I think I've got a few people in mind that I kind of want to be my secret dad. You know, most of the time they don't know it or not, but Black Mass is actually Orly Stewart's secret dad, and it was really crazy because she never told him this, but he knew it. He knew he was her secret dad, and that was so crazy. So, but he's an awesome guy. He's a freaking awesome artist, as you can see. Oh man, Thunderstruck 149, thank you so much. Like, holy crap, you guys are freaking amazing. I don't know what is going on here, but I'm not going to complain. I freaking love it. I like it. I love it so much because this is, again, what I love to do, and I love to be able to spend time with you guys, and this allows me to do it. So before I start to cry, and oh, thanks. Hey, what's up, Asariel? Thanks, dude. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Yes, thank you again, Thunderstruck. Thank you so much. And Brandon Carpenter and Bella Rose. I know I hit the jackpot, man. Fuck yeah. And the Duke of the Devil 8. Like, thank you all so freaking much. But thank you all for being here. Because, of course, it's not all about the money at all. It's not. That's just something that is necessary in order for me to be able to eat and to, like, plug in this stuff into the electrical outlets and have an internet connection and all of that. It all takes resources. And, I mean, it's 2:22 p.m. here on the East Coast. And what's up, D? And if I didn't... you know, if I did not have the ability from a monetary standpoint, I would be doing something else right now. And I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have the ability to do this. And this is what I love to do. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just want to pound the desk saying thank you because it means that much to me. I'll take a sledgehammer to it one day to really show you guys, like, give you an example of how I feel inside. I'm just, I love it. Freaking love it, man. I love it. But yes, I love you all. Thank you, Maria. Oh, you're so sweet too. But yes, we will definitely catch up, Asariel, and you too, Nicolene, and I will see you later too, John Treve, and to all of you, all of you. And like, again, thank you for everybody that helped me out and donated. What's up, Jafar? Yeah, I mean, it's been great. It's been great. And thank you guys for being here. I'm going to get a normal routine, scheduled live stream time every week. It'll be announced soon. I don't know when, but other than that, they're just going to kind of be like, you never know. I might announce it 2 hours ahead of time, something like that. Hopefully you guys can be here. I appreciate all of you being here. And we're going to have some cool things coming up. I'm going to let you know all the authors from the new Lucifer Compendium that's coming out through Become a Living God. I'm interviewing all of those authors on this channel here. And then I'm also going to be doing live streams through the Become a Living God through EA Co-Weddings channel here soon. That's what we're talking about. So I'm going to be doing that soon too. Probably shouldn't talk about it before it's actually in stone, but it's pretty much in stone. I'm just waiting to hear back from everybody that all those authors. I know it's going to be, I'm going to be interviewing Edgar Cavall, Frank White, Curtis Joseph, E.A. Coletting, and I think Bill Dubendek as well. So I'm going to be interviewing those gentlemen within the next week or so. So that is going to be really, really awesome. That's going to be on this channel as well. So yeah, I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted on that. I don't know if we're going to do live streams on those or what, but maybe part of it pre-recorded, part of them are going to be live. We'll see. But that's going to be really, really awesome. Looking forward to that. And I'm also going to be having Michael W. Ford, and I'm also going to have Jeremy Crow on here soon as well. And all of those people are freaking awesome. Dan Updike from the Dan podcast is going to also be a guest here soon. And I'm also going to be on his channel again here shortly as well. But in any case, I'm going to wrap it up. I love all of you guys. Be excellent to each other, and, you know, stay on your path. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Be strong. You got this. And yeah, that's really about all I have to say about that. So until next time, I love you dearly. And